The first thing Daniel heard was the scream. It cut through the soft jazz music of the cafe like a knife. Then came the crash, a deafening explosion of glass as the large front window shattered inward, spraying shards across the room like deadly rain. "Lie down now," Daniel shouted. Without thinking, he lunged across the booth. He threw his body over the woman sitting alone by the window, a thin, poorly dressed stranger who had been quietly warming her hands around a cup of tea she could barely afford. Glass tore through the air. A wooden plank spun past his head. He felt a sharp sting in his arm as fragments struck him, but he didn't move. He kept her covered. The cafe fell silent except for the sound of tiny shards settling across the floor. Underneath him, the woman trembled. I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to cause trouble." Daniel slowly lifted himself up. His sleeve was cut, a thin line of blood running down to his wrist. The woman's faded coat was dusted with glass, but she was unharmed. "You didn't cause anything," he said gently. "You're safe." The storm outside was brutal. Wind had hurled a construction board straight through the cafe window. It could have killed her. It would have, if Daniel hadn't moved. The customers were shaken. His manager, Mr. Clark, rushed out from behind the counter. "Daniel, are you crazy?" he snapped. "You could have been killed." Daniel shrugged, breathing hard. She was right by the window. Mr. Clark looked at the woman, her worn shoes, patched sleeves, nervous eyes. His voice hardened. "We'll have to close early. This is going to cost a fortune." The woman stood up quickly. "Please, leave. I don't have money for damages." Daniel frowned. "No, sit down." But she was already stepping back, embarrassed, clutching her small handbag as though it contained her whole life. Daniel grabbed a clean cloth and wrapped it around his arm. "At least let me call you a cab." She hesitated. "I can't pay for it. I didn't ask you to." For the first time, she looked directly at him. Her eyes were striking, not weak, not helpless, just tired. "My name is Elena," she said quietly. "Daniel." She gave him a small nod before leaving into the storm. That night, Daniel lay awake in his tiny apartment. His arm throbbed. Rent was overdue. His mother's medical bills were stacked on the kitchen table. He had picked up extra shifts just to keep everything afloat. Risking his life hadn't been logical. But it had felt right. The next morning, the cafe buzzed with rumors. Customers were already talking about the heroic waiter. Someone had recorded part of the incident and posted it online. The video was spreading fast. Daniel hated the attention. Around noon, the door opened. And the entire cafe went quiet. 4 men in black suits walked in. Not customers. Guards. Tall, broad, professional. The kind of men who didn't smile. Mr. Clark stiffened. "Daniel," he whispered urgently. "What did you do?" The guards scanned the room before walking directly toward him. "Are you Daniel Reyes?" the tallest one asked. Daniel swallowed. "Yes. You're coming with us." Every eye in the cafe locked onto him. Mr. Clark stepped forward nervously. "Is there a problem?" "No problem," the guard replied calmly. "Our employer wishes to speak with him." Daniel's stomach dropped. "Employer?" He wiped his hands on his apron. "Can I at least clock out?" The guards didn't laugh. 10 minutes later, Daniel was seated in the back of a black SUV, heart pounding. His mind raced through every possibility. Had he accidentally injured someone? Was the window damage being blamed on him? Was this a lawsuit? The car pulled up in front of a towering estate on the outskirts of the city. Daniel stared at the gates. "Where are we?" he asked quietly. "You'll see," one guard replied. Inside the mansion, the air felt different, polished marble floors, sweeping staircases, sunlight pouring through enormous windows. And standing at the center of the grand hall was Elena, but she didn't look the same. Her worn coat was gone. In its place was a tailored cream suit. Her hair was styled elegantly. Her posture was confident, composed. Daniel froze. She smiled softly. "Good afternoon, Daniel." He blinked. "What is this?" She stepped closer. "Yesterday wasn't an accident." His chest tightened. "The storm was real," she clarified quickly. "But I wasn't." Daniel stared at her, confused. "My full name is Elena Marquez," she said. "My father owns Marquez Global Holdings." The name hit him instantly. Billion-dollar corporation. Real estate. Hotels. Investments everywhere. He couldn't even finish. She nodded. "I've been volunteering anonymously at shelters and low-income neighborhoods for months," she explained. "Without security. Without publicity. I wanted to see how people treat someone when they think she has nothing." Daniel felt his face grow warm. "And yesterday?" he asked. "I stopped at your cafe because I was tired and cold. No one knew who I was. No one treated me badly. She paused. Until the window shattered. Her voice softened. You didn't hesitate. He shrugged awkwardly. Anyone would have done that. No, she said firmly. Not anyone. She walked to a table and picked up a tablet. She pressed play. It was the video. The moment the glass exploded. The way Daniel lunged. The way he covered her without thinking about himself. She turned off the screen. My security team arrived seconds later, she continued. They were outside, watching from a distance. They saw everything. Daniel exhaled slowly. I didn't bring you here to intimidate you, she said. I brought you here because I want to thank you. She nodded toward one of the guards. He stepped forward, handing Daniel a folder. Daniel opened it. Inside was a check. His breath caught. It was more money than he had ever seen in his life. He looked up immediately. I can't take this. You can, she said gently. I helped because it was right. Not for money. Her eyes studied him carefully. That's exactly why you deserve it. He closed the folder slowly. If I accept this, it won't feel like kindness anymore. It'll feel like a transaction. Silence filled the hall. The guards shifted slightly. Then Elena smiled, not like a billionaire, but like the tired woman in the cafe. What do you need? She asked instead. The question surprised him. He hesitated. My mom, she needs surgery. I've been trying to save. Elena nodded thoughtfully. Then allow my foundation to cover her medical expenses directly, she said. No publicity. No conditions. And in return, she paused. I'd like you to help me. He blinked. Help you. I'm building a community cafe network, she explained. Places that employ people who need second chances, single parents, immigrants, those struggling financially. I need someone who understands what kindness actually looks like. Daniel felt something shift inside him. You want me to manage it. I want you to lead it. He stared at her, speechless. I don't have business experience. You have character, she replied. That's rarer. The weeks that followed were overwhelming. Daniel's mother received her surgery. It was successful. The small cafe where he once worked was renovated, the broken window replaced with stronger glass. Mr. Clark, initially suspicious, found himself offered a partnership in the new project. The first community cafe opened within 3 months. Daniel stood behind the counter on opening day, wearing a fresh apron embroidered with the words, kindness. First, Elena stood quietly in the corner, observing. A young single father came in asking for work. Daniel smiled. Tell me about yourself. He understood now. Kindness wasn't just an action in a moment of crisis. It was a choice you make every day. Months later, the video of the shattered window was still circulating online. But Daniel no longer felt embarrassed watching it. Because that moment, the instinct to protect someone who had nothing, had changed everything. One evening, as the cafe closed, Elena sat across from him. You know, she said softly, when I first started volunteering, I was losing faith in people. He looked at her. You restored it. Daniel shook his head. You restored mine. Outside, rain tapped gently against the new window, but this time, no one flinched. Because fear had been replaced with purpose. And in a world that often rewards power and wealth, one waiter had proven something far more valuable. True strength is choosing to shield someone, even when you have nothing yourself. And sometimes, the smallest act of courage can open doors no amount of money ever could.